doctors are cautioning older women about 8 specific bathing habits that, perhaps surprisingly, can contribute to unpleasant body odor. It's a phenomenon many experience, but few discuss openly. That subtle, almost imperceptible scent that makes you pause and wonder, was that me? It's a moment of quiet unease, despite diligently showering daily, meticulous cleaning, and striving to maintain a fresh feeling. You're not imagining it. This sensation is a shared experience for countless women crossing the threshold of 60. As our bodies gracefully navigate this new chapter, they begin to communicate in more nuanced and delicate ways. Subtle shifts manifest in the skin's texture, in the intricate balance of hormones, and in the very daily routines we've held sacred for years. These unexpected changes can lead to the emergence of unfamiliar odors, even when we are making every effort to feel impeccably clean. It's crucial to understand that this isn't a reflection of poor hygiene or a lack of cleanliness. Rather, it's an invitation to cultivate a deeper understanding of our bodies and how they function in this evolving stage of life. Sometimes, the very habits we believe are helping us stay fresh are, in fact, silently exacerbating the situation. This journey will delve into 8 surprising bathroom habits that, without your conscious awareness, might be subtly impacting your natural scent. More importantly, we'll uncover gentle, science-backed solutions, endorsed by medical opinion, designed to help you feel truly fresh, genuinely clean, and profoundly comfortable in your own skin. If this resonates with you, even if it's just a flicker of recognition, consider yourself among a vast community of women who are navigating similar experiences. This isn't just about addressing an odor. It's about reclaiming a sense of wholeness and confidence in your skin as you age gracefully. Consider Eleanor, a woman who at 65 believed she had fully embraced her own skin with all its complexities and wonders. She had lovingly raised a family, overcome profound heartbreaks that forged her character, and weathered more winters than she could count. With each passing year, she felt herself growing stronger, wiser. Yet, one warm spring afternoon, as she helped her young granddaughter tie her shoelaces, the child, with the innocent honesty only a child possesses, looked up and asked, "Grandma, why do you smell like the attic?" Eleanor, initially, chuckled with a graceful dismissiveness, brushing off the comment with innate elegance. But later that night, alone in the quiet sanctuary of her bathroom, she subtly inhaled the scent of her blouse, then her arm, and finally her towel. For the first time in her life, a profound and unsettling question settled in her mind. Is this the scent of aging? Very few people openly discuss this particular facet of growing older. We often focus on the visible signs, the fine lines etching around our eyes, the gradual shifts in memory, the occasional aches in our joints. But the subtle, almost imperceptible changes in how our bodies smell often feel like a topic too delicate, perhaps even too embarrassing to address openly. Yet, it is an undeniable reality that many women quietly experience. As we age, our skin naturally becomes thinner, more fragile, and potentially more vulnerable, inadvertently creating an environment where bacteria can linger more easily on its surface. Hormonal levels, particularly after menopause, decrease significantly, altering the behavior of sweat glands and influencing how our bodies process natural oils, sometimes leading to changes in natural scent. Even the skin's natural exfoliation process slows down, meaning dead skin cells don't shed as rapidly as they once did, accumulating silently, particularly in areas often overlooked during our daily hygiene routines. The crucial takeaway here is that this isn't about being unclean or dirty. It's about experiencing a natural, physiological shift, a transformation. Your body isn't flawed or failing, it's simply evolving, adapting to a new stage of life. And this evolution should never be accompanied by shame or self-consciousness. What you need is merely a deeper understanding and the right knowledge. You don't need expensive perfumes or sophisticated fragrances to mask anything. You don't need costly creams promising miraculous solutions. You certainly don't need to scrub your skin harder until it becomes irritated, nor should you feel the need to hide or feel diminished by these changes. You simply need to identify the habits that might inadvertently be working against you and learn how to modify them in a gentle, body-respectful way. In the following insights, we will explore 8 common bathroom habits that could be subtly influencing your body's aroma without your awareness. And we will guide you through simple, scientifically supported methods to help you feel fresher, lighter, and more comfortable in your body once again. So, if you've ever found yourself pondering these questions, or if a loved one has made an innocent comment that lingered in your thoughts, know this with absolute certainty. You are not alone, and you absolutely do not have to accept discomfort as an inevitable part of aging. Stay with us. This journey may begin with an aroma, but at its heart, it's about unit, something far more profound, rediscovering your full self and confidence in your own skin. Let's begin with the first common habit, using too much soap on intimate areas. Rue had always been a woman who fervently believed in the paramount importance of being neat and clean, not just tidy, but profoundly, immaculately clean. This was a lesson her mother had instilled in her from childhood, a deeply ingrained philosophy that a clean home was a direct reflection of self-respect, and this principle extended seamlessly to her body. So, when she reached her 60s and began to notice her body changing, her skin becoming drier, her natural scent subtly shifting, she did what seemed most logical to her. She scrubbed with more vigor. She used more soap, especially in her intimate areas, employing lavender-scented shower gels in the morning, dusting powders in the afternoon, and even carrying intimate wipes in her purse, just in case. She thought she was being extra careful, exceptionally diligent in her self-care. Yet, despite all her meticulous routines, Rue began to perceive something wasn't quite right. A slight irritation, an unfamiliar dryness, and sometimes an odor that she couldn't explain. An odor that persisted despite her best efforts to eliminate it. Initially, she blamed it on age. Perhaps this is simply what happens as you get older, she thought, resigned. But deep down, this situation deeply bothered her. It felt contrary to her lifelong dedication to cleanliness. It was then that she made a courageous decision. She discussed it with her doctor. What she learned that day completely altered her perspective. Rue, the doctor gently explained, your body is actively trying to protect itself, but the very products you're using are stripping away what it needs to do its job effectively. It turns out that the skin in our intimate areas is exceptionally delicate and far more sensitive than most other parts of the body. Furthermore, our bodies are astonishingly designed to self-regulate and care for themselves. The vagina, for instance, possesses its own intricate, natural cleansing system and an internal rhythm that maintains a healthy, balanced ecosystem of beneficial bacteria and a specific pH level. It genuinely doesn't require our external help in the form of harsh soaps or perfumes. What it truly needs is our respect and understanding. When we overwash with strong soaps and highly fragranced products, even those marketed as gentle or feminine hygiene specific, we disrupt that delicate, vital balance. We inadvertently eliminate the very beneficial bacteria that work tirelessly to keep us healthy and protected. In doing so, we create an environment that becomes far more susceptible to irritation, uncomfortable infections, and, yes, ironically, the emergence of unpleasant odors. Rue was stunned. For all those years, she had genuinely believed she was being extra careful, that she was doing everything right. But in truth, she was unwittingly working against her body's inherent wisdom. Now, Rue's routine is much simpler, guided by gentleness and respect. She uses only warm water, reserving a fragrance-free, gentle cleanser for her external intimate areas only when strictly necessary. Nothing internally, nothing abrasive, just thoughtful care and respect. And for the first time in years, she feels genuinely fresh. Not because she's masked an issue, but because she has learned to trust and cooperate with her own body's innate capacity for self-care. Sometimes, doing less is the greatest act of love we can offer ourselves. Next, consider the seemingly innocuous habit of reusing bath towels too many times. Helen had always prided herself on being a sensible and practical woman. She grew up in an era where waste was frowned upon, and every object in the household had a clear, enduring purpose. So, when it came to her bath towel, she did what seemed perfectly reasonable to her. She hung it back up to reuse it throughout the entire week. After all, she would often say with a pragmatic smile, I only use it when I'm clean. How dirty could a towel really get? However, as time wore on, Helen began to notice something she couldn't quite explain away. Even after a wonderfully hot and revitalizing shower, her skin didn't feel as fresh as it once did. She perceived a slight, lingering damp smell that she couldn't seem to shake, and her arms, once uniformly smooth, had begun to develop small patches of dryness and irritation. Initially, she attributed these changes to her aging skin, dismissing them with a resigned thought, I'm simply getting older. But deep down, something didn't quite add up. It wasn't until her daughter came to visit and casually remarked that the bathroom smelled a bit damp that Helen truly paused to reflect. That night, she picked up her towel, took a deep breath, and frowned. The smell wasn't overpowering, but it was undeniably there. A faint, slightly musty aroma that she had become accustomed to without even realizing it. Driven by a newfound curiosity, she decided to research the matter, and what she discovered surprised her profoundly. Bath towels, particularly in steamy, often poorly ventilated bathrooms with high humidity, can retain moisture for hours on end. This persistent dampness creates an ideal breeding ground for the rapid proliferation of bacteria, mold, and even microscopic fungi. And each time we rub that damp, microorganism-laden towel over our freshly cleaned skin, we are, without knowing it, potentially transferring those very microorganisms directly back onto our bodies. Precisely the tool Helen relied upon to maintain her cleanliness was silently undermining all her efforts. Now, Helen approaches things a little differently. Rotating between 3 towels has become her new, effective practice. She washes each towel after every 2 or 3 uses, ensuring they are hung wide open on a towel rack, never crumpled on a hook, to allow for maximum air circulation. She even leaves the bathroom fan running a little longer after showering to help everything dry completely and quickly. The results have been remarkable. Her skin feels noticeably better, the air in her bathroom smells consistently fresher, and that subtle, nagging discomfort she once experienced has completely vanished. I never realized something so small could make such a big difference, she says now, marveling at the simplicity of the solution. And isn't that often true for so many aspects of life, where minor adjustments yield significant improvements in our well-being? The third habit often overlooked is ignoring proper foot care. Dorothy had always taken immense pride in her impeccable personal presentation. Her hair was softly curled, her blouse perfectly ironed, and a delicate spritz of rose water adorned the skin behind her ears. Yet, there was one aspect of her self-care that she rarely considered worthy of attention: her feet. They're not on display, she used to joke. Nobody looks down there. For years, this attitude served her well, until, inevitably, it didn't. It began subtly, an unpleasantly sour odor emanating from her shoes, even on days when she hadn't been particularly active or exerted herself. Then came the dry, flaky skin around her heels, progressing to a persistent, quiet itch between her toes that would often keep her awake at night. Dorothy initially dismissed it as mere dryness, trying various lotions, diligently changing her socks and alternating her shoes, but nothing seemed to alleviate the problem. In fact, things only seemed to worsen over time. It wasn't until a routine visit to her podiatrist that the truth came to light. "You're doing everything else right," her doctor gently informed her, "except for the one thing that truly matters: you're ignoring your feet." As we age, our skin undergoes changes. It doesn't shed dead cells with the same efficiency it once did. Our feet, often confined in socks and shoes all day, become an ideal environment for trapped sweat, bacteria, and the resulting odor. These dead skin cells accumulate, particularly in warm, moist areas like between the toes, creating a perfect breeding ground for fungi, irritation, and, naturally, unpleasant odors. Dorothy was astonished. She had been so meticulous with every other detail of her appearance and hygiene. Why had no one ever told her that her feet required their own unique kind of dedicated care? That day, she made a silent promise to herself. She would stop treating her feet as an afterthought. Now, every shower includes a full minute devoted exclusively to her feet. She gently scrubs them with a soft cloth and delicate soap, ensuring she thoroughly cleans between each toe. Once a week, she uses a pumice stone to gently buff away any buildup on her heels. And perhaps most importantly, she dries them thoroughly, every single time, without taking shortcuts. On warmer days, or when wearing closed-toe shoes, dusts a light antifungal foot powder to keep them dry and fresh. The result? No more persistent itching, no more embarrassing odor, and best of all, a renewed sense of confidence. "I didn't just clean my feet," Dorothy laughs now. "I listened to them." And sometimes that's all our bodies truly want from us, to be heard and cared for. The fourth habit, often overlooked due to its invisible nature, is flushing the toilet with the lid open. March had always maintained an impeccable home. Her bathroom sparkled, the mirrors gleamed, a discreet lavender air freshener sat on the shelf, and her hand towels were changed every other day. So, when a neighbor casually mentioned something about toilet plume or toilet spray, March scoffed. "That sounds made up," she chuckled, imagining a cartoon toilet billowing smoke. However, her curiosity eventually got the better of her. That night, she investigated the concept, and what she discovered sent a shiver down her spine. Every single time a toilet is flushed with the lid lifted, minuscule, invisible droplets, laden with bacteria and microscopic particles from the toilet bowl, are propelled into the air, creating a fine, microscopic aerosol. These airborne droplets can travel nearly 6 feet, almost 2 meters, silently floating and dispersing before eventually settling on virtually every surface in the bathroom: the sink, your clean towels, your hairbrush, even your toothbrush. March suddenly recalled all the times she had flushed the toilet while brushing her teeth, or when her freshly laundered towels were hanging nearby. She envisioned those invisible particles drifting over her freshly washed face, settling on her bar of soap. The thought churned her stomach. The irony was stark. Her bathroom looked pristine, smelled clean, and yet she could have been unknowingly spreading germs and bacteria without ever realizing it. From that day forward, she implemented a simple but profound change. She closed the toilet lid every single time before flushing. It quickly became second nature, as automatic as turning off the lights or washing her hands. And she noticed something else. That subtle, persistent, slightly stale odor she sometimes perceived after guests had left her bathroom had disappeared. The difference wasn't dramatic or flashy, but it was undeniably real. Her bathroom smelled consistently fresher, felt demonstrably cleaner, and she had a new sense of security regarding her family's health. When her granddaughter came to stay for the weekend, March smiled knowingly as she taught her a new house rule. Always close the lid before you flush, honey. Because sometimes, maintaining a truly healthy and clean environment doesn't require sophisticated tools or harsh chemicals. It merely needs a bit of awareness and a silent, mindful shift in a long-held habit. "It's the cleanest my bathroom has ever been," March now says with a wink, "and I barely had to lift a finger." Our fifth habit focuses on nighttime routines, wearing the same underwear to sleep. Evelyn adored her nightly ritual. A steaming cup of chamomile tea, her favorite bathrobe, soft and perfectly worn from years of constant use, and a few minutes of quiet reading before drifting off to sleep. It was a simple, familiar, and deeply comforting routine, a cherished end to each day. So, when her doctor delicately suggested she change her underwear before bed, Evelyn blinked in surprise. "But I haven't done anything all day," she replied, genuinely perplexed. "No walks, no gardening work. I've just been at home." She wasn't sweaty, hadn't engaged in any strenuous activity. Her underwear still felt clean to the touch. What Evelyn didn't fully grasp, what many women are often unaware of, is that even the most tranquil days leave more traces than we realize. Throughout the day, our bodies naturally release sweat, oils, and shed dead skin cells. When these elements are combined with a bit of warmth and moisture in a confined space, it creates an ideal environment where bacteria can quietly multiply. If we then wear the same underwear to sleep, that mixture of natural bodily secretions, trapped moisture, and bacteria remains pressed against our skin for hours, particularly as we age, when skin can become thinner and more sensitive. This constant, prolonged contact can lead to irritation, contribute to unpleasant odors, and even increase the risk of infections like yeast infections or bacterial imbalances. Evelyn had never considered this perspective. She had always thought that simply changing into her pajamas was sufficient, but now she viewed things differently. That night, she selected a fresh pair of breathable cotton underwear, crisp, soft, simple, and most importantly, dry. And for the first time in a long while, she felt remarkably fresher as she slipped into bed. After a few nights, she even experimented with sleeping entirely without underwear, just in her loose nightgown. To her surprise, she woke up feeling even more comfortable, less prone to night sweats, and utterly free from any lingering odors. "It's funny," she commented to a friend, "the less I wore, the better I felt." Now, Evelyn maintains a small, dedicated stack of underwear exclusively for sleeping, clean, light, and breathable. It's a minuscule change, but it has made a monumental difference, because true self-care doesn't always mean adding more to your routine. Sometimes, it simply means allowing your body to breathe and reset. When you do, sleep often comes more easily, and the morning truly feels like a fresh start for both your skin and your spirit. The sixth habit, often out of sight and therefore out of mind, is not cleaning the bathroom trash can. Joan was always utterly convinced that her bathroom was immaculate. She kept the countertops gleaming, the mirror spotless, and the floor dust-free. A small potted plant sat tastefully by the window. A lavender diffuser emitted a subtle scent near the sink. Everything in its place, everything meticulously controlled. Yet, every so often, she would detect a faint, persistent, almost sour, unpleasant odor. She would meticulously check the sink, the drains, even the bath mat, but still, the elusive smell would return. It wasn't strong enough to cause embarrassment when guests visited, but it was certainly potent enough to bother her, enough to make her wonder, where is that coming from? The answer was something she had never once considered: her bathroom trash can, sitting discreetly beside the toilet. Her small, lidded bin seemed entirely harmless. It wasn't overflowing, it wasn't visibly dirty, but therein lay the often hidden problem. Used tissues, damp cotton balls, feminine hygiene products, even when carefully wrapped, all these items release tiny amounts of moisture and organic matter into the air within that confined bin. And when the lid remained closed, the combination of warmth, humidity, and darkness created the perfect clandestine environment for bacteria and mold to grow slowly and invisibly, until that subtle, persistent odor began to permeate the air. Joan had spent years diligently cleaning every visible surface in her bathroom, completely overlooking the one item that was silently undoing all her hard work. Now, she has adopted a new, simple habit. She empties the trash can every other day, whether it appears full or not. Once a week, she gives it a thorough cleaning, using either a vinegar-based spray or a mixture of baking soda and warm water. Sometimes, she even drops a cotton ball with a few drops of essential oil into the bottom, just for good measure. It takes her less than 5 minutes, but the difference is remarkable. The air feels lighter, the space feels noticeably fresher, and that faint, frustrating, sour odor has completely vanished. "I thought the bin was too small to matter," Joan says with a wry smile now. "Turns out, it was making its own quiet kind of noise. And sometimes, the most forgotten corners are the ones that need us the most." Our seventh habit explores how we use our post-shower comfort, wearing an unwashed bathrobe. Linda absolutely adored her bathrobe. It was soft, warm, and possessed just the right amount of wear that made it feel like a second skin. It was her sanctuary and her source of immediate comfort after every single shower. She had owned it for years, feeling like an old, reliable friend, familiar, loyal. Consequently, she had never given much thought to how frequently she washed it. I only use it when I'm clean, she would reassure herself. I've just stepped out of the shower. It can't possibly be dirty. But as time went on, she began to notice something peculiar. Even after a fresh, invigorating shower, there were mornings when she didn't feel entirely clean. A faint, slightly damp, musty odor seemed to cling to her skin, to her neck, to her arms. It didn't smell like soap, and it certainly didn't smell like her. Then one day, as she was folding laundry, she caught a whiff of an aroma from her beloved bathrobe, and her heart sank. It was subtle, but unmistakable. That gentle, cozy bathrobe she cherished so much smelled faintly of the back of a dusty closet. What Linda hadn't realized is that even clean bodies leave behind traces of moisture, natural oils, and shed skin cells. And when one wraps oneself in a damp robe immediately after showering, that moisture permeates the fabric. If the robe is then hung in a poorly ventilated space or left crumpled on a hook, that trapped dampness quickly transforms into a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, mold, and subsequently unpleasant odors. The very item that was supposed to make her feel fresh was silently stealing that sensation from her. So, Linda implemented a small change that made an enormous difference. She purchased a second bathrobe, equally soft, equally cozy, and now she rotates them weekly, washing each one every 7 days without fail. She hangs them on a wide towel rack near a window, allowing them to air out completely. And on sunny days, she even lets them dry outdoors, just as her grandmother used to do. The result? Her skin feels genuinely cleaner, her mornings smell noticeably fresher, and her bathrobe embraces her just as it always used to, feeling not only soft, but truly, deeply clean. Before, I thought being clean was about feeling warm and wrapped up, Linda reflects. Now, I know it's also about letting go of what your skin no longer needs, because true comfort isn't just about how something feels, it's about how it makes you feel. Our penultimate habit addresses a specific part of personal grooming: not rinsing armpits thoroughly after shaving. Barbara had always believed that shaving her armpits meant she was doing everything right to prevent odor. After all, less hair meant less odor, didn't it? For most of her adult life, she maintained this habit: a quick shave in the shower, an application of deodorant, and she was ready to go. Simple, clean, done. But lately, something hadn't felt quite right. Even on days when she shaved and wore fresh clothes, she began to notice a persistent, subtle, constant odor emanating from her underarms. It was elusive but undeniably present. She started switching deodorant brands, trying clinical strength formulas, even avoiding onions at lunch, but nothing seemed to make a lasting difference. Frustrated and perplexed, Barbara finally mentioned it during a routine doctor's appointment. Her physician listened patiently, smiled kindly, and then said, "You're doing the first step, Barbara, but you're skipping the second." What Barbara hadn't realized is that shaving doesn't merely remove hair. It also gently scrapes away dead skin cells, residual deodorant, and the natural bacteria that reside on the surface of our armpits. It's akin to stirring up sediment at the bottom of a pond. Unless you thoroughly rinse everything away, those loosened residues remain right there, potentially settling into freshly opened pores. So, while shaving certainly helps by reducing the surface area for bacteria, it also temporarily disrupts the skin, making it even more susceptible to accumulation and, consequently, odor if not properly cleansed afterward. The solution, thankfully, isn't complicated. It simply requires a moment of conscious attention. Now, after each shave, Barbara takes an extra moment. She gently rinses her armpits with lukewarm water, then uses a soft, clean washcloth to delicately wipe the area, without scrubbing vigorously, just a light, mindful cleanse. After that, she carefully pats them dry with a fresh towel and allows her skin to breathe for a few moments before applying any other product, such as deodorant. During that brief pause, she might brush her hair or moisturize her face, allowing enough time for her armpits to settle. The difference is immediate and profound. No more mysterious odors, no more nagging discomfort, just that lasting sensation of cleanliness and confidence that carries her through the entire day. I always thought shaving was enough, Barbara reflects, but now I realize that finishing the job properly makes all the difference. Sometimes it's not about doing more, it's about completing what you've already started with careful attention and intention. Finally, we arrive at the eighth habit that can significantly impact your sense of freshness: not wearing fresh clothes after showering, especially for lounging. While not strictly a bathroom habit, it's intrinsically linked to the post-bath ritual of feeling clean. Many women, like Maria, would emerge from a refreshing shower feeling utterly revitalized and then slip back into the comfortable loungewear or pajamas they had worn throughout the day. Why bother changing into something new, Maria would think, if I'm just going to relax at home? My clothes aren't dirty. However, much like the discussion around underwear for sleeping, the clothes we wear throughout the day, even during light activity at home, accumulate invisible traces. They absorb natural bodily oils, minute amounts of sweat, and shed skin cells. When these clothes, now carrying these invisible residues, are put back on after a shower, they can inadvertently reintroduce those elements to our freshly cleaned skin. This is particularly true for items like bathrobes or loungewear that might seem clean but have absorbed moisture and skin cells over time. This re-exposure can diminish the feeling of true cleanliness and, over time, contribute to a general, subtle body odor that seems to defy logic because you've just bathed. Furthermore, these slightly soiled clothes, when worn repeatedly, can trap warmth and moisture against the skin, especially in areas like the armpits, groin, or under the breasts, creating conditions ripe for bacterial growth and the development of unpleasant smells. Maria's revelation came when she noticed that despite showering, she sometimes felt a slight, lingering, stale scent, particularly around her upper body. It wasn't strong, but it subtly undermined her efforts to feel completely refreshed. Inspired by a conversation with a friend about general freshness, she decided to try a simple experiment. After her evening shower, she would put on a completely fresh set of loungewear or pajamas, reserved only for post-shower wear. The change was remarkable. She noticed an immediate difference in how truly clean and light her skin felt. The subtle, stale scent vanished, replaced by a genuine feeling of freshness that lasted until morning. Maria realized that while her day clothes might not be visibly dirty, they carried an invisible accumulation that affected her post-shower purity. Now, she has a dedicated set of after-shower clothes, soft cotton t-shirts, breathable shorts, and lightweight pajamas that are always clean and fresh. This simple act completes her cleansing ritual, ensuring that her freshly washed skin is only met with fresh, clean fabric. It's a testament to how the final step in a routine can be just as crucial as the first, enhancing the feeling of well-being and confidence that comes from truly clean skin. When we take a moment to reflect, none of these habits initially appear to be a major concern. A towel used a couple more times than usual, a bathrobe that feels soft and comforting, even if it hasn't been laundered recently, sleeping in the same underwear worn during the day, leaving the toilet lid open without a second thought, skipping that extra rinse after shaving, or slipping into slightly worn loungewear after a shower. These are small details, quiet, routine actions, the kind of choices we make without truly thinking twice, simply because no one explicitly told us that not doing so could have an impact. They are habits ingrained through years of unconscious practice, often passed down or simply assumed to be harmless. But here lies the profound truth. As we gracefully age, these seemingly small things transform into the very foundation of how we feel in our daily lives. They intricately mold our physical comfort, deeply influence our self-confidence, and quietly whisper in our ears when we glance in the mirror or step into a room full of people. And so often, when something doesn't feel quite right, when we perceive that something is a little off with us, we instinctively blame it on age. We tend to think, perhaps this is just what happens now. It's an inevitable part of growing older. However, aging is not the end of freshness, nor of dignity, nor of inherent beauty. It is, in fact, a vibrant new chapter that gently invites us to embrace a softer, more mindful form of self-care, a deeper awareness of our body's evolving needs, and a greater, more compassionate kindness towards ourselves. Each of the habits we've carefully explored today is incredibly simple to adjust. None of them involve significant financial expenditure. They don't demand special tools, luxurious products, or convoluted, time-consuming routines. They simply require a small shift in perspective, a brief moment of conscious attention, and a generous sprinkle of self-love. And what you will receive in return is something utterly invaluable, something truly priceless. You will feel remarkably better in your own skin. You will breathe with greater ease, finding profound comfort in your body. You will walk with a more upright posture, radiating a renewed sense of confidence and poise. Because when your body feels genuinely cared for and deeply respected, your spirit invariably follows. And dearest friend, it is precisely there, in that harmonious alignment of body and spirit, that true, authentic confidence truly begins to blossom. So, let us raise a toast to the small things done with wisdom, with gentle intention, and with heart, because you, my dear, have absolutely earned it. If this exploration has offered you even one small reminder that made you feel understood or supported, it is a testament to our shared journey. It's a gentle affirmation that we are all here, taking care of ourselves together. Your presence in this shared space means more than you can possibly imagine, and collectively, we are creating an environment where aging feels a little kinder and infinitely more empowering. If you found at least one piece of advice in this video that made you pause, smile, or feel a little more understood, it helps to know that we are walking this path together, connecting through these shared experiences. And if you have a dear friend, sister, or neighbor who could benefit from a discreet boost of confidence, please consider sharing this video with her. Sometimes, the smallest shifts in understanding can make someone's entire day feel profoundly different. If you wish to continue learning gentle ways to care for your body and embrace aging with grace, we warmly invite you to subscribe to this channel. We share simple, reliable advice designed especially for women like you. Because feeling fresh, strong, and confident is not something you leave behind with age. It is something you consciously grow into, day by beautiful day. Thank you for spending this precious time with me.